Imagine waking up one morning, stepping outside, and noticing something different. The smell, it's sweet, sharp, and unmistakable. You wander down to the nearest beach, and there it is, the ocean. Not a shimmering blue expanse of salty water, but a sparkling, fizzy brown sea of soda. Billions upon billions of liters of carbonated sugar water, stretching as far as the eye can see. And no, this isn't a new flavor from a trendy beverage company. This is the new reality. Earth's oceans have been replaced entirely with soda. So, what happens next? First, let's talk about the sheer scale of this swap. Earth's oceans hold about 1.35 billion cubic kilometers of water. That's roughly 1.35 billion trillion liters. Now, imagine replacing all of that with cola, lemon lime, or your favorite fizzy drink. The first immediate effect? A massive explosion of bubbles and foam. When soda is moved, shaken, or poured, the dissolved carbon dioxide gas is released. Dumping an entire soda ocean into Earth's basins in one go would trigger an unimaginable amount of fizzing. We're talking bubbles tall enough to bury skyscrapers. Entire coastlines would vanish under a choking blanket of sticky, sugary foam. The sound alone would be deafening, like every soda bottle on Earth being opened at the exact same time, multiplied by a few trillion. And here's the thing. That fizzing isn't just fun and harmless. It would release an astronomical amount of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere almost instantly. Even if only a fraction escaped, it would spike the planet's CO2 levels far beyond anything humans have ever experienced. The air would become dangerously thick with gas, especially in coastal areas. You'd have trouble breathing, and any open flame would become, well, a bad idea. Not to mention the greenhouse effect. We'd be turbocharging global warming in a single day. Now, what about the life that currently calls the oceans home? Well, sorry fish. Marine life evolved to survive in salt water, not in a hyper-sweet acidic bath of phosphoric acid, caffeine, and flavor chemicals. The pH of most sodas is around 2.5, which is about as acidic as lemon juice. Most sea creatures wouldn't even last a few minutes before their gills, shells, or internal chemistry failed completely. The entire marine ecosystem, plankton, whales, coral reefs, would collapse almost immediately. The oceans would go from teeming with life to eerily empty. But it wouldn't just be marine life in trouble. Soda is much thicker and stickier than water, meaning it doesn't evaporate or circulate the same way. The natural water cycle, evaporation, condensation, and rainfall would break down. Sure, soda contains water, but the sugars, coloring agents, and acids would prevent normal evaporation patterns. The atmosphere would dry out, clouds would form less often, and rainfall might decrease drastically. Ironically, replacing the oceans with a liquid might cause widespread drought on land. And let's not forget the smell. Every coastline in the world would reek of syrupy sweetness, attracting billions of insects. Flies, ants, wasps, and even some birds would swarm the shorelines to gorge themselves. The sticky residue from waves crashing onto beaches would coat everything in sight, turning once beautiful sandy shores into glue traps for unsuspecting animals. If you thought seagulls were annoying before, wait until they're caffeinated and hyped up on sugar. Then there's the chemistry problem. Soda is loaded with sugar, around 10 teaspoons per can. Scale that up to an entire ocean, and you've just introduced a sugar content so massive that it defies comprehension. Microbes that feed on sugar would explode in population. They'd multiply so fast that they'd use up most of the dissolved oxygen in the soda, turning vast regions of the oceans into dead zones. And as they broke down the sugars, they'd release even more CO2, methane, and other gases into the atmosphere. That's right, our soda oceans would literally be fermenting. Imagine standing on a pier and smelling a mix of stale cola, rotting candy, and alcohol brewing under the waves. Delicious. If you're thinking you could just scoop up the soda and drink it, think again. First, it would be flat within hours of the big swap. Without constant bottling and pressurization, all that precious fizz would escape into the atmosphere. What you'd be left with is billions of liters of warm, flat, slightly salty, bacteria-infested sugar water. Even if you could filter it, the sheer amount of caffeine in some sodas would pose health risks if you drank too much.
Wow.
And you'd better believe companies would rush to bottle authentic ocean soda, now aged with plankton essence, as some sort of luxury item. And what about shipping and travel? Boats aren't designed to move through soda. The viscosity and stickiness would slow them down, clog cooling systems and corrode engines. Ports would have to deal with layers of sticky residue coating every surface. Air travel wouldn't be much better, as coastal airports would be surrounded by swarms of sugar-fed bugs and soda mist corroding equipment. In the long run, the planet's climate would spiral into chaos. Without functioning oceans to absorb heat and regulate temperature, weather patterns would become extreme and unpredictable. The lack of a proper water cycle would devastate agriculture. Crops would fail, ecosystems on land would suffer, and humanity would be forced to either engineer a massive soda-to-water conversion system or find a way to survive on a planet coated in syrup. And that's the ironic twist. Despite starting with more liquid than we'd ever need, we'd be in the middle of a freshwater crisis within months. The oceans may be salty, but they are vital for life. Replace them with soda, and you replace one of Earth's most perfect natural systems with something that's not only useless for sustaining ecosystems, but actively destructive to them. So, in conclusion, replacing the oceans with soda might sound like the ultimate sugar lover's dream, but in reality, it's a recipe for planetary disaster. We'd lose marine life, wreck the climate, pollute the atmosphere, and eventually find ourselves surrounded by giant, lifeless, sticky puddles. The only survivors? Maybe a few species of sugar-loving bacteria and some very happy ants. And just imagine explaining to alien visitors, thousands of years from now, why our planet smells like flat cola. They'd probably leave before we even got to the part about the caffeinated seagulls.